Alexander Thornton sat at the corner table of the upscale restaurant, his jaw tight with irritation. This was the last time he'd let his mother manipulate him into one of these ridiculous blind dates. At 37, Alexander had built Thornton Industries into a global empire. He had wealth, power, and influence. What he didn't have was patience for his mother's matchmaking schemes. He'd agreed to this final date only to get his mother off his back. Alexander checked his Rolex. 7 o'clock exactly. His date was late. He was about to leave when he saw her walk in. The woman who approached wore a simple, cream-colored dress, teal, no designer labels visible. Her long brown hair was pulled back in a casual ponytail, and she wore minimal makeup. She looked slightly out of place in the elegant restaurant. "Alexander Thornton?" she asked, her voice tentative. Yes. He stood out of ingrained courtesy, though his expression remained cold. "You're late. I'm sorry. The bus was delayed, and then I got turned around." She extended her hand. "I'm Emma Clark." Alexander shook her hand briefly. "Please, sit." Emma sat down nervously. "This place is beautiful. I've never been anywhere like this. I'm sure my mother mentioned where we'd be meeting. Actually, she didn't tell me much, just that you were successful and that I should give you a chance." Emma smiled slightly. She was very persistent. She showed up at the community center where I worked 3 times until I agreed. Alexander felt surprised. "What do you do there?" "I'm a social worker. I help families in crisis housing assistance, job placement, food security." Emma's eyes lit up. "It's not glamorous, but it matters." "I see." Alexander signaled the waiter. "Would you like a drink?" Emma glanced at the wine list, and her eyes widened. "Just water, please." They sat in uncomfortable silence. Alexander studied her, trying to figure out his mother's angle. "So," Emma said finally, "your mother told me you run a company." "I'm the CEO of Thornton Industries. We're a multinational conglomerate." "That sounds impressive. What made you want to do that?" "It was expected. My father built the company, and I took over when he retired." "But is it what you wanted to do?" Alexander frowned. No one had ever asked him that. "It's what I'm good at." "That's not what I asked." He looked at her more closely. "It's complicated. Most important things are." Emma smiled. "I'm sorry if I'm being too personal. I'm not very good at small talk. I tend to just ask what I'm actually curious about. It's refreshing. Most people I meet are too busy trying to impress me." "I'm not trying to impress you. No offense, but I didn't want to be here tonight. Your mother was just so insistent, so I agreed to one dinner." Alexander felt oddly intrigued. "Why didn't you want to be here?" "Because I don't have time for dating. I work 60 hours a week trying to help people who are barely surviving. Romance isn't exactly a priority." "Then why do you work so hard?" "It can't pay well." Kayma's expression became serious. "Because I grew up in poverty. My mother worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. I watched her struggle. Now I have the opportunity to help other families like mine. How could I not?" Alexander sat back, genuinely surprised. For the first time in years, he was actually interested in what someone had to say. They talked through dinner. Emma asked him about his childhood, his dreams, the parts of his life beyond the corporate facade. In turn, she told him about her work, about the families she'd helped. "You know what's strange?" Emma said, "I've been to dozens of homes, today's families, living in conditions you couldn't imagine, and they have more joy than I see in most wealthy people's faces." "You suggesting money doesn't buy happiness?" Alexander asked with a slight edge. "I'm suggesting that money without purpose is empty. What's the point of having everything if you're not using it to make things better?" Before Alexander could respond, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face paled. "I'm so sorry. I have to go. There's an emergency with one of my families. A single mother with 2 kids just got evicted. I need to help find them shelter now. It's 9 o'clock. Emergencies Don't wait for business hours. Okay. Emma stood quickly. Thank you for dinner. Wait. Alexander stood as well. Let me help. Emma looked skeptical. Help how? I'll drive you. And I'll cover the cost of putting them up in a hotel while you find something permanent. You don't have to do that. I know. But you're right. What's the point of having resources if you don't use them? 20 minutes later, they were in Alexander's car, driving to a rough neighborhood. Emma directed him to a small apartment building where a young woman sat on the curb with two small children in trash bags containing their belongings. Emma jumped out and hugged the woman. Jessica, it's going to be okay. Alexander watched as Emma comforted the children, made phone calls. He made his own calls, using his influence to secure a hotel suite, no questions asked. Within an hour, Jessica and her children were settled in a clean, safe hotel room. The relief on the mother's face made something shift in Alexander's chest. Back in the car, Emma turned to him. Thank you. That was incredibly kind. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing to them. Alexander dropped Emma off at her modest apartment building. As she got out, she turned back. I enjoyed tonight. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. I'm guessing your mother will ask how it went. Undoubtedly. Emma smiled. What will you tell her? I'm not sure yet. Alexander looked at her. Would you be willing to do this again? Emma seemed surprised. Really? Really? Next time, show me more of your world. Over the following weeks, Emma introduced Alexander to parts of the city he'd never seen. They volunteered at soup kitchens, visited families in subsidized housing. Alexander found himself thinking less about quarterly profits and more about the people behind the statistics. 6 months later, Alexander sat in his office when Emma walked in. What's this? She asked, looking at the document he handed her. It's a foundation. The Emma Clark Foundation for Family Services. Fully funded, you as executive director. Emma stared at the papers, tears forming. Alexander, I can't accept this. Why not? Because it's too much. You earned it by caring when others walked by. You earned it by showing me what actually matters. Alexander took her hand. Emma, you changed my life. You made me see that having everything means nothing if you're not sharing it. Is that what I am? Someone who matters. You're everything that matters. I was cold, closed off. You thought something in me I didn't know was frozen. You were never as cold as you thought. You just needed someone to show you it was safe to care. We run this foundation on one condition. You have to get your hands dirty. No more writing checks from a distance. Alexander smiled. Deal. Sometimes the last chance turns out to be the first real one. Sometimes the person you least expect teaches you the most important lesson. And sometimes a cold millionaire just needs someone brave enough to show him that a warm heart is worth more than a full bank account. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it. Subscribe for more stories about transformation and unexpected love. Leave a comment about someone who changed your perspective. Your stories inspire us all.